so I want to bring up too, there's the moment where where Harriet, our protagonist, and Lord Peter Wimsey go on the boat ride, and she's like laying there. That whole interaction on the boat ride, it's where I fell in love with the language. There's so many times I've said things out loud about this book where I'm like, I sound like a fucking cliche. Like I hate when people are like, oh, I just love the prose in the book, but I'm like, you can't say what she said in the way she said it in modern day English. Like you just can't. And their whole, like, I like tabbed so many parts and like,
reserved way of talking about things without talking about them, and the way that you have to sort of make your way through the sentences to figure out what it is that is really happening is just, it's very not modern.
There was this moment here. Okay, I'm just gonna read this because I put a note. I said, "Is this when she realizes she loves him?" So
I just, before you even read that,
okay.
say how the other cool thing about this, partly because it's mystery genre, I was never sure what was going to happen. Like it could have ended either with the love story. It really could have gone either. I mean, you knew.
Was like
as a modern reader, you kind of know, in the same way that now you can't read Harry Potter in the same way because you know he doesn't die, but he honestly could have. It's the same. Like she could have gone either way the whole time. Harriet, you would have been all on board with Harriet if she had just been like, I'm sorry. I cannot trust you. I cannot do this. And, it would have been a perfectly valid, if very unsatisfying and disappointing, ending.
Well, what got me even as a modern reader, I didn't know. And then when we get there and they say it in Latin, I'm like, what the fuck? Like, I'm like scrambling to like figure out what they said. And I'm like,
this in like 1990, there is no Google. I'm like going, I don't know what this means, and there is no one I can ask.
Oh,
like I'm pretty sure. And of course, I could go and there is a book that takes place after they get married. So then I'm like, okay, I guess she said yes.
Yeah.
I'm trotting off to Walden Books to figure out. Yeah.
I was like, well, what did she say? Like, but even that was like a testament to the tension that she built through the book, because it's like, I literally didn't know if she was going to say yes or no to him. Mm-hmm. And I would have been, satisfied as a reader either way. Right.
Yeah.
Cause it's like, but I was like, if she doesn't fucking get her shit together and accept him. But then when they had that final conversation and he listed out all the reasons she shouldn't, I'm like, well, he makes a good point. Like he did make it, of course, like I'm like glossing over Peter's mistakes. Yeah. But he makes a lot of good points of, he's like, I was selfish and I was thinking of myself, and I came out, I knew you weren't ready, and I came after you anyway because I was so afraid you'd get away. And I'm like, yeah, I've done that, like, but okay, I got to read this passage because, because a couple pages before this, I was like, I wrote like, I love their interchange here. It's like the best flirting I've ever read in my life. And then,
Latin jokes about John Donne.
Yeah. Which again, I'm like,
my education does not veer in this direction. I might add, like, I got nothing. My entire knowledge of John Donne comes from this book. Actually,
I don't know who he is. I just was like, I don't have time to.
Some kind of poet.
Oh, okay. Because I
from the book, right?
Okay, yeah. So I wrote, is this when she realizes she loves him? Right. So they'd gone on this boat ride. They'd been like flirting like crazy. They get off on the shore. He falls asleep, in the sunlight. So thought Harriet, it has happened, but it happened long ago. The only new thing that has happened is that now I have got to admit it to myself. I have known it for some time, but does he know it? He has very little excuse after this for not knowing it. Apparently, he refuses to see it, and that may be new. If so, it ought to be easier to do what I mean to do. She stared out resolutely across the dimpling water, but she was conscious of his every movement, of every page he turned, of every breath he drew. She seemed to be separately conscious of every bone in his body. At length he spoke, and she wondered how she could ever have mistaken another man's voice for his. I mean, I'm like, yeah, like
Yeah.
I was,
And yet, what to do what she meant to do, you got to think she's meaning to say no at this
right,
point.
yeah, yeah.
Like, she's meaning to just never let this go even further. And that's why, I mean, like, a teenager or young 20s me is like, oh, no, but he's the perfect man. Like, really, no, you can't do this. And yeah,